There's a person sitting in a car right now who is not moving. They've been there 25 minutes. The exit they need is 400 meters away. They will reach it in 40 minutes. They stopped being angry about this somewhere around year 3 of their commute. That's the part nobody talks about, and not the frustration, but what comes after it, the resignation, the moment the outrage phase ends and the dissociation phase begins. They don't ask why anymore. They just turn up the volume and wait, which is arguably a worse sign for civilization than the traffic itself. Here's what's strange. Traffic is not a mystery. The research exists. The solutions exist. Multiple cities have implemented them, measured the results, and published the data. And every major city on Earth still treats rush hour like a twice-daily weather event. It's something that happens to people rather than something people maintain, because that's what it actually is. Not a problem that persists despite our best efforts. A problem we are, in some meaningful sense, keeping alive. That's a different kind of uncomfortable. So let's start not with why traffic exists, but with why we keep it. First, the physics, because most people have the wrong mental model of what a traffic jam actually is. The assumption is that jams need a cause, accident, truck blocking a lane, construction, something that made the problem. But in 2008, mathematician Yuki Sugiyama at Nagoya University ran an experiment that broke that assumption cleanly. 22 cars, a circular track, one instruction: drive normally, keep the loop moving. Within minutes, with no external trigger, a jam formed. One car braked slightly harder than necessary. The car behind compensated harder. The one behind that is harder still. The wave traveled backward through the loop, opposite to the direction of traffic, at roughly 20 kilometers per hour until cars near the back were stopping completely. The car that started it had long since driven through, probably made it to work on time, had no idea anything had happened. Meanwhile, the ripple it created was still moving backward, stopping people, making them late, ruining mornings. From one slightly too hard tap on the brake, you have almost certainly both caused this and been a victim of it, probably on the same commute. The jam had no cause. It was self-generated, a ghost produced by normal people doing nothing wrong. The enemy isn't bad drivers, it's math. Specifically, what happens when human reaction time meets bumper-to-bumper density at scale. And once you understand that, the usual solution, more roads, more lanes, more capacity, starts to look suspicious. In 1969, mathematician Dietrich Braess proved something that should have changed how we build cities. Adding road capacity to a network can, under certain conditions, make traffic slower for everyone. Not the same, slower. The mechanism: a new lane gives individual drivers an option that looks faster. Enough drivers take it. The new route is congested. Because traffic is a network, congestion degrades routes that were working fine. Everyone loses. This isn't theoretical. Stuttgart added a road. Travel times went up. Seoul removed an elevated highway through the city center. Traffic times went down. They built a river park where the highway was. It now gets 60,000 visitors a day. The highway that it replaced moved 168,000 cars a day and made the surrounding area measurably worse. New York removed lanes on Broadway through Times Square in 2009. The flow in the surrounding area improved. The data has been available for 50 years, replicated across multiple continents, and presented at every relevant conference. The ribbon-cutting ceremony for your city's new highway expansion is scheduled for March. That's not a guess. That's a pattern. And here's what makes it genuinely maddening. The people making these decisions aren't ignorant of the research. The engineers know about Braess's paradox. The urban planners know about induced demand, the documented phenomenon where new road capacity generates new trips to fill it within a few years of opening. Everyone in the room nodded at the studies and then went home and announced the expansion, because that's what voters understand, and that's what gets people re-elected. Individual rationality, collective disaster, which, notice, is exactly the same structure as the Phantom Jam, just playing out at the political level instead of the highway level. The solutions that actually work have a different problem. They require people to feel a cost they're currently not feeling. Congestion pricing works. Stockholm trialed it in 2006. Traffic dropped 20%, air quality improved, transit usage increased. They held a referendum. The public voted to make it permanent. London, same result. Singapore has run a version since 1975. The evidence is unambiguous. The reason most cities haven't tried it isn't technical. It's that the cost of driving has always existed in time, in health outcomes, in tax money spent on road maintenance. But it's been distributed invisibly across enough categories that you never see the full number. Make it a visible line item on an app, and suddenly it's an outrage. The actual cost didn't change, just the legibility of it. We will absorb enormous invisible costs without complaint. We will riot over small visible ones. Governments know this. They plan accordingly. So the cost stays hidden. The roads stay clogged. Here's the structural thing worth naming. Traffic is a tragedy of the commons. Every individual driver is making a rational decision. Leave at 8 a.m. because that's when work starts. Take the highway because it's fastest. Drive alone because transit doesn't go where you need. Each decision makes complete sense. Collectively, they produce a system that makes everyone worse off, including the people making those decisions. Every car that joins a congested highway makes the trip slightly longer for every other car on it. The driver doesn't feel that cost. They impose it invisibly and move on. The same structure explains overfishing, antibiotic resistance, social media engagement loops, and about 40 other things currently going wrong. Individual rationality, shared resource, and no mechanism to feel the cost you impose on others. Once you see the pattern, you see it everywhere. It doesn't make traffic less frustrating. It just makes it frustrating in a more structural way. Back to that car. The exit is 400 meters away, 25 minutes waiting, coffee cold, 40 minutes to go. Here is what that person is not: a victim of unsolved complexity. They are not waiting on technology that doesn't exist. They are not stuck in a problem that needs more research, more time, more data. They are stuck in a solved problem. Working models from Stockholm, Seoul, Singapore, peer-reviewed literature going back 50 years, multiple continents, documented, replicated, available, and after a new highway expansion opens, on average, 3 years before congestion returns to the same level it was built to solve. 3 years of relief, then back to baseline, except now the baseline is larger, the infrastructure costs more to maintain, and there are more cars because the new road generated new trips. We didn't solve the problem. We scaled it up. Then we'll announce a new expansion. Traffic jams, the grinding, daily, sanity-eroding kind, are not an engineering failure. They're a governance failure, a collective action problem we've chosen repeatedly and consistently to address with the option that doesn't work, because the option that works costs something that's hard to ask people to pay. Every time you've sat in traffic and thought, why has nobody fixed this? The honest answer is, they have. Several people have, in several cities. We just haven't decided we want it badly enough to accept what fixing it actually requires. The wave keeps traveling backward, opposite to where everyone is trying to go, started by someone who has no idea they started it, affecting people who will never know who to blame. A perfect metaphor for every collective action problem that has ever existed, if you want one. Or just a traffic jam. Both are true, neither fixes it.